Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today's lesson is on the exciting op art right here. And I have an example by a well-known op artist named Bridget Riley right here. Let's see if I can move it so that you're not seeing a lot of the glare. And op art is short for optical art, and it's where geometric art in which patterns of lines and or color combinations react on the eye to produce a series of movement, dazzle, or even discomfort. So sometimes when you're looking at these images, your eyes get really tired, or sometimes you even get like a headache effect. Many optical illusions often stress the illusion of depth or something that is warped. Like you see here, this almost looks like a sphere or a ball that's blending into the background. And my students actually created this one here. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how they did this right now. Today I'm using 9x12 paper, and I'm also using a 6.5-inch circle. This you can also freehand draw in if you'd like to draw in your circles. But we're going to start off by taking our circle and we're going to place it in the center of our page. You want to make sure it's equal distance from side to side, top and bottom, and just simply trace around this. And I like to trace the top first, then I move my hand up, and then I slowly trace my bottom, connecting. And then I'm going to move this off the side. Now my circle is 6.5 inches, so I'm going to measure over 3 1/4 and just put a dot. And then I'm going to measure down 3 1/4, because I want to find my center here, 3 1/4, right here. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to draw down my line. So I want to divide this circle into half. Let me make sure it's straight on the paper here. So I'm going to divide my circle in half, right here. And then I want to divide it, so I have two sides for half. There's 1/2 and 1/2, which make a whole. Now I want to make it into 4 equal pieces. So I'm going to go back to my center, and I'm going to go to my line where I drew down. And I'm going to divide that in half again. So I have 4 equal pieces. Now from here, what I want to do is I want to divide this line segment from the center to the edge in half. So I'm just going to estimate this one. So now I have a half here and a half here. Now I want to divide each of these segments in half again. So I have 4 equal sections. So I'm going to put a little line and estimate from here to the center and put a little line. So I have 4 equal sides now, segments, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this half. Now I'm going to be putting in these vertical lines that are curved, these curving verticals here of the design. So I'm going to start off, and you want to start and end each of the vertical lines at the very point here, where this vertical line intersects the outer side of the triangle. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to curve down, and then I'm going to continue my curve. If you need to turn your paper, you can. So this curve is going to continue to here. So I like to pivot my hand when I do that. So it's a circular shape. It's almost like you're doing rainbow arches now. We're going to do a rainbow arch again. So I can start here and pivot over and keep that rainbow curve, this arched curve right to there. And if you do it slow, sometimes even if you practice first in the air where you're going, and then go back and sketch it in or draw it in. Go slow. Some kids like to use pencil too, but I like going right to marker. So now I have all of these nice curves on half of the side. I'm going to need to do the same on the other side. So to do that, we divided this in half, estimated, estimate the half again, come from the center, from this point to here, estimate in half again. So we have 4 equal spaces with 3 lines. Now we're going to do our nice curves again. So I'm going to tilt my paper. Again, if you want to estimate first your curve, I'm going to come from here to here to the top. Make sure you're coming right to the top and right to the bottom side. Do the same for this line, curving, and then we're going to come right to here. And then the last line, curve it. Once you get the hang of it, it'll flow better. Starting at the tip, right to the line. There, so I have it divided now into 8 little pieces on each side here coming down. Now, that's one half of the design. Now we need to do the design on the opposite side. So right now we've got these vertical lines coming down. Now we're going to have to do it again, the horizontals, the same way. So I just turn my design this way, and I'm going to work it up again. So I'm going to take the center, and I'm going to go to the very edge, and on this center, this is a horizontal line. So on this horizontal line, from the center to the end, I'm dividing it in half and putting my halfway. And then I'm going to go from the center of this line segment to the end, divide it in half again. I'm taking the center now and going to the center here, dividing that in half again. And now I'm going to be putting my lines coming down the same way we did these curves. I'm going to just do it estimating in the air, kind of moving it in the air, figuring out my curve. And then I'm going to tilt my paper, and I'm going to come right to the edge here. Curve right to the edge. So I'm intersecting all of these, making sure I begin and end at the very edge of the circle. I'm going to do it in the air first. Curve. And then I'm going to come right to here. I'm going to start here, curve it down, and up. Now I have this half done. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm finding the very middle, going to the very edge of my page, finding the very center of this line segment from the middle to here. Then I'm going to divide each of these segments in half again. In half again, and now I'm going to make my curves. If you feel comfortable coming down like this, you can just draw it like this. I prefer to tip my paper here, and I like this kind of a pivot motion with my hand. But that's up to you how you feel comfortable making these. We're going to start from the center, move to here, and then I'm going to come this way. And then I'm going to do the same for the middle. And I'm going to do the same for the top. Okay, now we have our design, and we're ready for the background checkerboards. Okay, now we're going to work on the background checkerboard grid, and I'm going to show you a finished student project here. You can see how it's just straight lines, and then we do vertical lines, and then we're going to do horizontal lines. And the easiest way to do this, what I find, is if you take a ruler, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in the very center of my page here, and I'm going to follow this center line here, just so that my grid lines up with my center line. And then I'm going to be making lines on each side of the circular shape. So I'm not going to go through the circular shape anymore. So I'm going to start off on this side, and I'm just going to come over straight, and on this side, over straight. Now, if you're not going to use a ruler, then you can just do a free drawn line here without a ruler. It's up to you. But I do both sides of the ruler, 1 and 2, and then I'm just going to move my ruler to this line. Again, we're not going to draw on top of the circle. So I moved my ruler here, and I'm going to trace from the side of the circle to the edge of the page. And I'm going to do the same on this side. And then I slide my my paper up, and I'm going to line my ruler up with the line I just drew, and I continue that way. That way the design is from the center out. And I'm going to do the same on this side here. Lining my ruler up here, and going from the edge of the page to the circle, stopping, and then do it the same on the other side. So I'm going to continue this to the very end of the page. Now that all of my horizontal lines are in place for the checkerboard grid, I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up with the center of my design, lining up the ruler, and I'm going to trace across. And I'm going to trace on the other side of my ruler. And I'm going to slide my ruler, line it up, and trace. And I'm going to do the same here, all the way down, and then I'm also going to do the same all the way up, lining up my ruler and just tracing, making sure I stop exactly on the center circle line. And now I'm going to continue all the way to the top of the page and all the way to the bottom. Now my grid design is complete. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be coloring in this design. I would start off in the corner here, and I would color this in a solid color. Let me show you on one that's finished. Right here. Let's turn this over so you can see better. Here's the corner here. So we start off in the corner and we color that in, and then we skip a space and we color the next one in. Skip a space, color the next one in, and we continue. And I do all the background design first, and then I start off on a space in the inside, and what I did for this one is I started off in the very center here. Wherever you start off, whatever is joining that square side, whatever joins the sides is going to be the white one. So if I start off with a color, whatever touches this will be white. And I continue coloring in this in a checkerboard pattern until all the spaces are filled. I'm going to show you an easy way to color in these squares. This is just my way that I found works best. What I do is I first start off by outlining the square on both sides with the color, coloring very slow and careful up to the edge, like this. So I'm boxing in the square, drawing an outline around it. Then what I do is I just simply go back and forth with long, quick strokes to fill in the middle, just like that. And so that's a quick way of filling in your squares, and then also being able to have your edges nice and clean. So again, I just kind of go real slow and trace the edges like this. And then I turn my paper. So I trace all sides first, careful in the corners, real careful when you reach the edges, and then you're able to fill in with back and forth strokes with even color, because that's what you want, the color to be pretty evened. Like so. And then if I have any edges that need fixing, well, this I'm going to cut off here. But if I have any edges like this, I'm going to blow it up so you can see it, that are not perfectly straight, I just take my pen and make a straight line like that. And it connects them up nice and clean. And then I did leave a little bit of a line where on the center, see where the circles come in? And where it's black on black, I did leave a hairline of white in these areas here, just barely showing. This is a black and white design here, but you can even choose to do your design in another color combination pattern. Here's an example of some optical illusion type designs that are in you know, black and green, and then I opted to do some yellow with it and some blue. So as an artist, you can choose your own colors and color combinations, and that's up to you how you finish it off. Here is a blue and white combination that a student has started. And I also have, and this was done in crayon, this one with red and white combination, and we're going to add some paint on top of this to create a resist as well. And this one was marker they're going to do, but these designs aren't finished yet, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of what they would look like if you're using different colors. Now I'm going to show you how to fix a mistake, because sometimes as we are working we do make a little mistake, and if you see up here, this area here should have been left a white, but I ended up coloring it in black by mistake. So what I did was I ignored the mistake, and then I continued coloring in black where I needed. And now what I'm going to do is fix this area. So I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, and if you don't have an X-Acto knife, you can always do this with scissors, just simply by folding your paper like this, pinching it, and making a slice with your scissor. Then you can get inside this area. But what I want to do is cut out this area. So let me blow this up so you can see it. Enlarge it. So I'm going to enlarge this so you can see it better. So now I'm going to cut out the piece that is a mistake. And I'm going to use my ruler here as a guide for the blade. And I'm just going to slice this little square out. And then I'm going to patch it on the back with some paper. Now I do want to leave a slight line around here. So I'm going to do all my straight lines first, and then I'll do the curve. Now I'm going to work up that curve. So I'm going to just slice and leaving a little bit of a black line coming around. And then I'll be able to pull this out. So I'm going to patch this. So now I've removed the piece of my mistake. And then I can simply just glue on. I'm just going to tear a piece of this scrap paper here. And I can place it underneath and just glue it on, and there. And once it's glued down, you'll never notice that was a mistake. So that's a simple way to fix your mistakes. So don't worry if you make a little mistake on your design. Now let me go ahead and show you what it looks like when it is all done. And I'm going to cut off these edges here that are smaller. And once that's glued down, it'll be done. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Art Lady channel. And if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. We always love to hear from viewers. So if you have something in the comment section you want to add, well, we appreciate that as well. But I really want to know how you did on your picture. And if you did anything unusual, be sure and add that to my comments and let me know. Other kids love trying new things, and I love sharing them with my students.